Before we begin this practice, I just want to share my experience of the real world. I began reading the course in 2009 and really studying it, and it wasn't until 2016 that I actually had an experience of the real world. At first, it didn't bother me. I would read about the real world, but then after a couple of years, I just kept thinking, what is this real world? What is this place? What is this thing that it's talking about? It's just a pie in the sky idea. And I think that's with everything in the course. I was like, what is this state? What is this? And so far, I've experienced everything it's said, everything throughout the course, all the different states that are suggested that we can experience in this world or in our current state. And this has come through desire, that I desired to know what this state was like. And even though there were only glimpses, and I still have these glimpses quite often of the real world, especially on trains or when I'm meditating a lot, then I start to see with a spiritual vision, and everyone's happy. Not necessarily in form, but I can feel it and I can see and I experience that there is another being, there's another world that is just beyond the one we see. And when I experienced these states, and it happened to me even quite recently, I was walking around London and I just knew that the love that everyone contains, and I could feel it, and everyone felt happy. Even if their faces didn't look happy, I could feel the happiness inside of them. I could feel their true state and the true them. But to see the real world, it was literally divided into two, like a segment. I could see the old world. And I know the Course says when you see it, you can't see the old world. And to me, that just means that you know that it's not true. You see it, but you can't, you experience it, but you just know that it's not a reality, because you just know that the spiritual self. And that's what I saw. Everyone had a like a spiritual body, and they were made of light, and there just wasn't any buildings, and everyone was happy, and there's just joy. Just everything was in joy. It only lasted a couple of weeks, but I just saw like this for 2 weeks. And I'll share the story sometime more fully, what happened. I hope this helps in practicing this lesson, that even if you haven't experienced it, even if you don't know what it is, that you can just trust in my experience. So let's take 10 minutes now to do this practice. Practicing your willingness with repeating these words: beyond this world, I choose to see that world instead of this. For here is nothing that I really want. Beyond this world is a world I want. I choose to see that world instead of this. For here is nothing that I really want. Now close your eyes upon the world you see, and in the silent darkness, watch the lights that are not of this world light one by one. Until where one begins, another one ends, loses all meaning as they blend into one. Today the lights of heaven bend to you to shine upon your eyelids as you rest beyond the world of darkness. Here is light your eyes cannot behold, and yet your mind can see it plainly and can understand. Remember that you're exchanging the world you see for one that is more satisfying, filled with joy, and capable of offering you peace. You might want to think of the value of the world your eyes can see. Perhaps you'll concede there is no loss in letting it all go. The world you see with your physical eyes is merciless indeed, unstable, cruel, unconcerned with you, quick to avenge, and pitiless with hate. It gives but to rescind, and takes away all things that you have cherished for a while. No lasting love is found, for none is here. This is the world of time, where all things end. Beyond this world is a world I want. I choose to see that world instead of this, for here is nothing that I really want. Is it a loss to find a world instead where losing is impossible, where love endures forever, hate cannot exist, and vengeance has no meaning? Is it a loss to find all things you really want and know they have no ending and they will remain exactly as you want them throughout time? Yet even the real world will be exchanged at last for what we cannot speak of. For you go from there to where words fail entirely, into a silence where the language is unspoken and yet surely understood. Communication unambiguous and plain as day remains unlimited for all eternity, and God Himself speaks to His Son, and His Son speaks to Him. Their language has no words, for what they say cannot be symbolized. Their knowledge is direct and wholly shared and wholly one. How far away from this are you who stay bound to this world, and yet how near are you when you change it for the world you want? Now is the last step certain. Now you stand an instant space away from timelessness. Here can you but look forward, never back, to see again the world you do not want. Here is the world that comes to take its place. As you unbind your mind from little things the world sets forth to keep you prisoner there, value them not, and they will disappear. Esteem them, and they will seem real to you. This is your choice. The loss of something that has no value. This world holds nothing that you really want, but what you choose instead, you want indeed. Let it be given you today. It waits, but for your choosing, to take the place of all the things you seek but do not want. Remember, a day of grace is given you today, and we give thanks. This day we realize that what you feared to lose was only loss. Now do we understand there is no loss, for we have seen its opposite at last, and we are grateful that the choice is made. Remember your decision hourly, and take a moment to confirm your choice by laying whatever thoughts you have and dwelling briefly upon this. The world I see has nothing that I want. Beyond this world, there is a world I want.